April is considered National Fair Housing Month. Different organizations hold a variety of events. Articles and seminars increase to raise the awareness of fair housing and what it really means. Nowhere is there more emphasis on this than in the real estate property management industry. Complying with fair housing is of highest priority to the business of owning and renting property. Fair housing is a simple concept. Don't discriminate. But following it's not always an easy task. The Federal Fair Housing Act and its many subsequent acts in both the federal and state courts have been the result of many lawsuits involving the interpretation of these laws. Judgments have resulted in penalties in the millions against those who do not comply with fair housing. Discrimination is a serious matter. As your property management company, we know that we must understand and follow fair housing to the letter to protect our clients and their investments. Additionally, it's important to us to keep you apprised of fair housing. Therefore, we've provided you with the following quiz of this important issue so you can see how well versed you are in this area. I'll ask a question and then pause before I reveal the answer. The purpose of the 1968 Federal Fair Housing Act is to ensure that everyone has equal access to housing regardless of their race, national origin, religion, sex, color, disability, and familial status. True or false? True. This is the Basic Fair Housing Act of 1968. The Civil Rights Act of 1968 is commonly known as the Fair Housing Act. True or false? True. The Civil Rights Act of 1968 is referred to as the Fair Housing Act. HUD is the Department of Human Resources and Urban Development. True or false? False. HUD is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The American Disabilities Act was enacted in 1968. True or false? False. The ADA was enacted in 1988. Property owners can discriminate against service animals. True or false? False. Property owners cannot discriminate against service animals. Property owners can charge an additional deposit for service animals. True or false? False. Property owners cannot charge an additional deposit for service animals. It's acceptable to use the following phrases in advertising according to the American Fair Housing Act that was enacted in 1968. Executive home, no kids, or only singles. False. These are considered discrimination in advertising and violate fair housing. Housing providers must provide equal opportunities to all prospective buyers or renters, whether or not they speak English or are United States citizens. True or false? True. You must provide equal opportunities to buyers or renters, even if they are not citizens or speak English. President John F. Kennedy signed the Civil Rights Act of 1968. True or false? False. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1968, or what is commonly referred to as the Fair Housing Act. Sex was added as a protected class 6 years later in 1974. Protection from gender discrimination includes any form of sexual harassment and, as proven by recent court cases and legislation, victims of domestic violence are also afforded protections. True or false? True. Sex was added as a protected class in 1974. All right, just 2 questions left. Discrimination in renting is now considered a practice of the past. True or false? False. The fight to provide fair housing and avoid discrimination is still an ongoing issue. The last one. A housing provider does not have to reserve an accessible unit only for those with disabilities. True or false? True. A housing provider does not have to reserve an accessible unit for only those with disabilities. They can rent the unit to anyone as long as they are not discriminating against the disabled.